At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
It is the Josh Graham Show, and so much for June being one of the slower months on the sports calendar. That's something they say, but the World Cup group stages are in full swing. The United States demolishing Paraguay in the opener in LA last night. Plus, you have the College World Series going on in Omaha. My Carolina Hurricanes are on the doorstep of a Stanley Cup win in Las Vegas. But it's really basketball that is top of mind today. That is the main event today. So that's where we'll start. The NBA Finals effectively ended when the New York Knicks erased that record 29-point deficit to send MSG into a frenzy a few nights back. That was game number 4. And when New York finishes off San Antonio to end the franchise's 53-year title drought, it should look and feel a little familiar for basketball fans. Because this series, yes, we can use all of that throughout today's program. Because this series, it is the 2011 NBA Finals all over again. That Dallas Mavericks team that won the title in 2011 against the Miami Heat, it's the best comp to these Knicks. Everybody thought at that point, going into those finals, Dirk Nowitzki, very, very good basketball player. Very good, very respected, but not a slam dunk Hall of Famer, not one of the most beloved foreign players in NBA history. It took him winning the title to become that. The same is true of Jalen Brunson. Very good player, yes, but not a legendary player. Not a guy that's going to be remembered generations from now, the way that he certainly is going to be for bringing New York its first title in 53 years. Also, much like those Mavs 2011 that had Jason Kidd on it, and Jason Terry, and Tyson Chandler, this Knicks team is filled with veterans that likely know that this is their one shot at the title. This is not like San Antonio, the 3 best players on the team being 20, 21, and 22 respectively. The youngest New York starter is 28. 4 of the 5 guys they bring off the bench is at least 28 years old. Heck, Jordan Clarkson's 34. So that's why the Mavs in 2011, a good comp to these New York Knicks, but it's an even better comp when you look at the losing side of the ledger. This series in 2026 could be the same learning opportunity for Victor Wembanyama that 2011 was for LeBron James. See, 2011 was supposed to be LeBron's first championship, but he didn't have the same level of urgency that Dallas did. We all remember right when he decided to join Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh, how many titles are you going to win? Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5. And those finals were a career low point for LeBron. More specifically, Game 4 where he had just 8 points and seemingly was petrified to shoot the basketball in the fourth quarter, getting rid of it like a hot potato, and he was getting backed in by J.J. Barea, of all people. Comparing it to Victor Wembanyama, listen to what Victor had to say after winning the Western Conference Finals, emotional on the floor in Oklahoma City, almost as if he won the title that night, and see if it reminds you of anything.
I would say what I learned is I can go through hurdles that I didn't know those hurdles could get so high. And the crazy thing is, maybe I'm crazy for that, but I want to do that 15, 20 more times. Let's hope it doesn't become an addiction. Maybe it is already.
Mm-hmm. So it's not 1, not 2, not 3, 15 to 20 times? Balling on the court? That's immaturity coming out. Where you feel, you probably believed what everyone was saying, that the Western Conference Finals, that was a pseudo-NBA Finals. That it didn't matter who you got in the NBA Finals. Oklahoma City, that was going to be your greatest challenge. And the immaturity was on display with 9 3-point attempts in Game 1. And the careless turnovers in Game 2, most notably the one he put off Stephon Castle's back, leading to Brunson hitting a free throw that turned out to be the difference. The shot selection, the 2 missed free throws in the blown lead in Game 4. It's important to remember that he's 22. That's the part that's nuts. See, Victor and LeBron, they're going to be compared to each other because they're all world talents. LeBron went to his first finals in 2022. When he was 22 years old. But his team didn't really have much of a shot, oddly enough, against the Spurs. Got swept in 2007. In 2011, Miami, like San Antonio, vast favorites to win it, except Victor is 22 in this series, while LeBron was 27 when he had that low point of his career. See, much like the 2011 finals were for LeBron, this series could be a springboard for Victor. Following 2011, the Heat won the next 2 NBA titles. 2011 was also the start of 8 consecutive finals appearances for LeBron James. It was the 2011 offseason where LeBron decided he was going to use the loss as motivation and really prioritize his interior game. If Wemby further develops that piece at his size, it might just be unfair to the rest of the league trying to stop him, as if it isn't already unfair. The Wemby piece, plus the history of the Knicks title drought, might make this finals, this series, the most consequential finals we've seen in a very long time. So if you're thinking to yourself, as you watch the Knicks on the precipice of winning a title, thinking this looks and feels familiar, it should, and you should go back 15 years ago. This segment sponsored by Progressive Commercial Insurance. They protect small businesses with affordable coverage options. Get a quote today at progressivecommercial.com. Josh Jacobs is taking your calls. Yes, that Josh Jacobs at 310-840-4910. Will Dalton is the producer of this program. Notably not wearing Carolina Hurricanes gear or even North Carolina Tar Heel gear, as his Tar Heels are in the winner's bracket of the College World Series in Omaha, and his Carolina Hurricanes, our Carolina Hurricanes, one win away of winning the Stanley Cup. There we go.
That's right. Give it to it. Honestly, I kind of got Vegas this weekend.
Nah, dude.
I think. Listen, I heard what Tortorella said in Raleigh the other night. He said, "I'm not bringing my clothes home."
I was in the room when he said it, and
I know.
It's a weird thing to say. You're just going to leave your clothes in the hotel? How exactly does that work? You'll enjoy this, Will, because you probably enjoy comps. Will Dalton, the producer of this program, everybody. In the spirit of making comps, here is today's question of the day that we'd love for you to chime in on if you have input. Which NFL franchise is the closest equivalent to the U.S. men's soccer team? The NFL's our most popular form of entertainment in this country, and so many are just getting familiar with the game of soccer and this club and this federation. So let's make it easy for the newcomers, for the soccer casuals. What NFL franchise would you have as a comp to U.S. soccer? 310-840-4910. Here's our answer. The U.S. soccer team is the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jacksonville Jaguars are the NFL equivalent to USA Soccer. Now, hear us out. Here's the case. Neither Team USA nor the Jaguars get any respect in their respective sport communities. Jacksonville, you might be surprised to learn this unless you're an NFL nut. Jacksonville went 13-4 last year. And have you heard a peep of hype regarding the Jaguars this offseason? A peep. But if you want to go to odds, what the odds makers are saying, despite having the third best record in the AFC this past year, they currently have the 8th best odds to win the AFC in 2026. That means they're projected to miss the playoffs altogether by odds makers. No respect. Now, why is that? Well, much like the U.S. with CONCACAF, nobody respects the AFC South. So maybe this is us saying that the AFC South is the CONCACAF equivalent. So when you have success in CONCACAF, like the U.S. generally has, or in the AFC South, as the Jaguars have been having, nobody cares unless you deliver in the postseason, and unfortunately for the Jags, they've never been to a Super Bowl, much like the U.S. has never made a World Cup final. Best finish the U.S. has ever had in a World Cup way back in 1930, where they finished third. Both teams have never really been relevant, or really only started to become relevant in the 1990s. There are tactical similarities between the U.S. and the Jacksonville Jaguars. The most important player for each team was lauded as being a supreme talent, only to have a recent professional slump. Christian Pulisic having maybe his worst professional season with AC Milan last summer, missed international play due to wanting to rest up. He had some injuries he was dealing with, was criticized as such. Trevor Lawrence is kind of the hope for the Jaguars, tank for Trevor, all of that. And he's had some good seasons, but hasn't met the hype that people have set out before him. Both the United States and Jacksonville made coaching changes at the end of 2024 in hopes to become better offensively. The Jags adding then Bucs offensive coordinator Liam Cohen, Duval, and the U.S. adding Mauricio Pochettino, the Argentinian national, to be their new manager. Those offensive-minded changes seem to have paid dividends. The Jags, 6th in the NFL in scoring offenses last year under Liam Cohen. And if you watch the United States on Friday night, goodness, last night in L.A., we'd never seen a United States team pressing that way offensively, completing passes with the ease that the U.S. was able to move the ball up and down the field. A 4-1 win against Paraguay. In the end, both the U.S. and the Jags are long shots to win their respective tournaments. The Super Bowl odds for the Jaguars, 30-1. After last night, courtesy of our friends at DraftKings, the Americans have 40-1 odds to win the World Cup. So, as a means to draw inspiration for the United States in this World Cup, here is that viral Jags fan from a long time ago with an applicable message I think we all can apply to the U.S. soccer team.
As far as picks, they say they have the best draft in the entire NFL. Are you surprised to hear that?
Certainly not. The first year we took it to the limit. And I was in Miami with my new beach house.
It's been 20 years since then. We haven't been too strong in the last few years.
Oh, we've been strong. We're just playing by the rules. You can't have a newcomer come in and steal a show.
That's it. Why hasn't the United States soccer team broken through, won some knockout match games? Been playing by the rules, hanging out in my new beach house. Gonna take it to the limit. USA Soccer, the Jacksonville Jaguars. 310-840-4910. Is there a better comp you can make, closest equivalent in the NFL to U.S. Soccer than the Jacksonville Jaguars? 310-840-4910. In addition to getting to your NFL Team USA nominations, we will play for you and react to the best defenses that Texas Tech's been able to come up with for their betting quarterback, Brendan Sorsby, or now rehabilitating former betting quarterback, Brendan Sorsby. That's what they would want you to believe. And that's next on The Josh Graham Show.
The Hurricanes are one game away from lifting Lord Stanley's Cup and claiming their second title in franchise history. Can the Golden Knights keep their season alive? Game 6 is tomorrow night. Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
We're making comps on this Saturday afternoon. Which NFL franchise is the closest equivalent to USA Soccer? As a way to help some of the soccer casuals. That's why we do comparisons. Whether it's the draft, oh, this guy reminds us a ton of this. To help familiarize people who aren't familiar with what this experience is a lot like or where the expectation should be. So which NFL franchise is the closest equivalent to U.S. Soccer? Before we get to the latest from Lubbock, Texas, let's go to Wes, who's in Idaho. 310-840-4910. 310-840-4910. We just lost Wes, apparently. The Jacksonville Jaguars are the equivalent I have circled a couple of times. Think that that's probably the closest comp we have. If we get Wes reconnected, we'll get back to him. Let's get to the reaction to Brendan Sorsby and Texas Tech. Texas Tech has learned this week there really is no good defense for keeping Brendan Sorsby on the football team. But they're still trotting out the defenses anyway. They put through all this effort to try to get to this point, so they seem interested in being entrenched and moving forward with it, at least for now. But let's go through some of those defenses, and you can decide how much weight to attach to them. Here's defense number one. What's the big deal? It's not like Brendan Sorsby's hurting anybody by betting on sports. Here was Texas Tech head coach Joey McGuire making that exact argument earlier this week.
I've sat down with this young man multiple times, and the things that he is going through and what he's been through is serious. As a society, we've been okay with other things that happens and allowing players to play, and this has been the one thing that has united people that we're against, you know. And it's crazy because it's not murder. It's not.
It's not murder. It's not like he's beating anybody. Fellas, if you're married, try cheating on your wife and using this approach in your defense. Honey, I didn't murder anyone. I didn't beat you. What's the big deal? The reality is, you're an athlete. And it is known in every locker room, everywhere, this is a line that you can't cross. Or if you do and get caught, you're not going to recover from it. Nobody ever has. As bad as crimes of physical harm are, actual crimes we're talking about here, they don't affect the integrity of the enterprise you've chosen to be part of. Like, this isn't some kid who just bet a couple of times and got caught. Oh, just made a mistake. We're talking about thousands of bets that were placed, including 2 under bets on Indiana passing stats when he was the backup quarterback for Indiana. So betting against the team that he was playing for. That cannot be allowed. And you saying that, well, he didn't murder anybody, doesn't make it any better. Let's hear another defense. Here is defense number 2. The only reason anybody cares about this is because of how good Brendan Sorsby is. Because of how good Texas Tech is. It's the only reason you care. It's the only reason you're talking about it. This was an argument that Tech super donor Cody Campbell made to Dan Dockich a few days ago. Listen.
It's because the college football world doesn't think that Texas Tech should be as good as we are. You know, we've been a disruptor, just like Indiana has. And so we're a target, and we have been even before any of this started. If this had happened at LSU, you know, people would say, it's LSU, you know, they're always going to kind of do what they do, and, you know, they're going to keep playing. But it happened at Texas Tech, and, you know, people don't want to compete with us. Of course, ADs in the Big 12 are saying crazy things and, saying they don't want to play us. Well, they don't want to play us because they know he's good, and they don't want us to be as competitive. They want to have a better chance at winning the conference.
You get it, yeah. So let's test this on several different levels. He says if this happened at LSU, people would just say that doesn't matter. It's just at LSU. Will Dalton, who is the head coach of LSU's football team?
That would be Lane Kiffin.
Is it fair to say that when LSU hired Lane Kiffin away from Ole Miss, the reaction in college football wasn't, it's just LSU, so it's okay?
Oh, no, the place about burned down.
I'm pretty sure it was a pretty damn big deal, and people were talking about it. So you honestly believe that if LSU's quarterback got busted with gambling, that people would just be like, Tigers being Tigers. Who really cares? What evidence do we have of that whatsoever? In fact, we have, again, evidence to the contrary. The Lane Kiffin, that was a pretty big deal. You've got sitting U.S. senators creating that College Sports Act with a Lane Kiffin Act in it to try to prevent, in the future, teams being able to do what LSU just did. So that is flatly ridiculous. Also, it doesn't even have to be that Brendan Sorsby's good for people to care. We have evidence of this too. It's not just trying to hurt Texas Tech's chances. We only care because the quarterback's good. Charles Bediako was a pretty big deal. He's the guy who was drafted in the NBA, played in the G League, and then came back to Alabama this past year. Think that was a pretty big deal that people were talking about. He averaged 10 points a game, maybe. That wasn't one of the superstars of college basketball, yet people cared a great deal. So that's ridiculous. And the last piece that makes this ridiculous, nobody's super threatened by Texas Tech. You've never sniffed a title, ever. You hadn't been relevant in 20 years prior to last year, and even last year, you were smoked by 1,000,000, didn't score a point against the Ducks team that also had no shot at winning it all in the quarters of the playoff. Still haven't scored a point in the college football playoff ever yet. The rest of the country is scared, just terrified of Texas Tech with Brendan Sorsby. So in the end, what's going to end up happening here? It's still unlikely that Sorsby's going to play. It might not seem that way right now, but let's just see how this plays out. Number one, it's doubtful that Texas Tech has the stomach to fully go through with this. We see some of the hedging already with their AD Kirby Hocutt putting out in statements that they're not even sure if he's going to play. And what's more insecure than the 21-minute video the school leaders put out that nobody really watched? Soon as someone texted me that video, it was at the Carolina Hurricanes Stanley Cup game the other night. Someone texted me that video. I responded with the meme that has the 3 text messages that say, I'm not going to watch all that. I'm happy for you or sorry that happened. That's the response. Could have just been an email. Also, Texas Tech, they're the member of a conference. And when you're the member of a conference, if the entire league feels one way about something and you don't, this is a democracy. Generally, the one with more, the majority generally has power there, especially if it's the vast majority like we're seeing here. And Commissioner Brett Yormark likely is against this too. So to spin this positively, this could be the issue that brings all the conferences together, college sports together, to pass legislation to at least at a minimum give the NCAA the power to prevent this from happening. As Josh points out on X, at Josh Graham Show, you can watch Westwood One Sports Night. You can find us on YouTube. Texas Tech went from the darling in 1 week, whenever everyone was cheering for them, and you had the Texas thing where they're, talking about buying out a couple of games in order to play Texas. Now you have this. Darlings to being perhaps the most hated team in all of college football. Happened pretty quickly. But that is the latest defense. Those are the latest defenses that are being trotted out by Texas Tech. How much validity do you attach to them? We obviously don't attach a lot to it, but let's see what Mike in New York City says. 310-840-4910. Mike, you hear the defenses. How do you reply?
Yeah, good way to set, good topic setting, by the way. Good job. So I think that there's a couple ways to look at this. I have no dog in this fight. I don't care about Texas Tech. But let's say that, and some of the teams in the SEC or other conferences as well, what if they recruit someone, which means they didn't recruit another position, okay, it's a key position, and they find out later the guy's an alcoholic or he's a drug user. This guy's claiming this is a malady, and we can discuss whether it is or not, okay, whether it's an addiction or he just was doing it or half addiction. But their argument could be, look, he didn't do it with us. For instance, he penalized Indiana or penalized, did he also play for another school? Was it Cincinnati or something? But,
yeah,
for them.
Cincinnati and then Indiana before that.
Yeah, but we, Texas Tech, we recruited this guy. We didn't know. We did in good faith. We probably avoided other avenues, right, of people we were going to recruit. We think he's going to get help. We're going to monitor him. Maybe if they look at it, and the other schools could too, that it is an issue, right, which is an issue that is controllable, and he says, look, I'm not going to do it, and they try to figure it out. I guess I'm just saying it seems that some of the competitors would get an advantage if he isn't allowed to play. So I do think there are
That's true. But the argument that he's making is that we wouldn't be talking about it if he wasn't as good of a player. And Charles Bediako was a massive deal from a competitive standpoint, being allowed to play in college basketball after being drafted in the G League. And that's not a guy who is taking college basketball by storm. So that's and the LSU example. No one would care if it was LSU. Well, we cared quite a bit when it was Lane Kiffin, and now we have acts that are trying to be passed as a result. The alcohol example you bring up, we've seen precedent for that. Steve Sarkisian, look how his career ended at USC, and certainly he's bounced back well at Texas in the coaching ranks. But that does not affect the integrity of the actual game itself. For those who don't know, behind the scenes, every single player, every coach, they're forced to have training. Even before betting became as legal as it is today, so it's probably crazier now, to emphasize strongly how much you can't do this and why, and he still chose to do it, breaking the rules.
One other quick thing. It's a great point.
Please.
I do think, though, that, of course, we always make exceptions for talent, and if he was awful, he wouldn't have been down in Indiana. So I think the talent issue is that's a given. We see that in the NFL, the NBA, right? Talent in a lot of things. We see it in radio, right? In TV entertainment. Some people get second, third chances. Talent wins out. But this is a big issue. You're right. The gambling, right? Is this the Rubicon, right? Is this the third rail? Or even if it's an addiction, I'm not saying it is. We don't know.
By the way, Mike, since you're in New York City, what are we doing tonight prepping for Knicks Spurs? Are you going to be out and about, or are you keeping it confined?
All right, you asked the question. I'm going to give a non-politically correct answer. I don't think that the city has been prepared for a couple of years. I don't think we have a good, I'm just saying not politically, but we don't have a good mayor. The police don't feel supported here. Just being honest, I think that they've got to be careful how this whole thing goes, because there are good and bad people in every fan base. And I think some of these people are not Knicks fans. Like in every city, they're just taking advantage. Other ones are.
So you're staying inside.
But I do think
you're going to stay inside.
Yeah, I'm concerned I think that we have bigger problems in New York that we have to get our law enforcement, or I'll just say it that way, that they need.
Oh, by the way,
and if you don't get
I appreciate the call. Thank God. We have to get to another one. Mike in New York City, good to hear from you, and I hope everybody in New York does stay safe. You also have a World Cup game that's going to start in the Meadowlands, not too far from New York City, at 6 o'clock. Brazil facing Morocco, World Cup action starting this week. Let's go to Dustin, who's in Knoxville, 310-840-4910. Dustin, what do you have to add to the Brendan Sorsby conversation?
Oh, hey, man, I love your show. I just wanted to say, like, as far as the he didn't murder anybody argument, I mean, all of his arguments are absurd, first of all. But that one, I mean, it comes to me where the college sports is already the Wild West. So, just letting a little non-murder crime go it's just going to make things worse in the long run. The second thing is when they talk about his mental capacity and his addiction. Man, I've been in addiction. I've been in those dark rooms. And for him to talk about his mental capacity, if everything's so bad, shouldn't he take a year off, maybe step back, reevaluate his life, and come out a better man?
By the way, you're right that this is being used as a cudgel almost, the mental health piece of it. And I'm glad you bring it up because it allows me to bring up something. Thank you for the call, by the way, Dustin. That a few years ago we saw, and Will Dalton, you remember this well. I got ripped for this. North Carolina had Drake May at quarterback, and there was a receiver named Tez Walker. Don't know if he still plays for the Ravens, but he transferred past the window you were allowed to transfer, meaning he had to sit out a year. And he made an argument that not playing football was going to negatively affect his mental health. That the reason why he transferred to North Carolina is because he had an ailing, sick grandmother in Charlotte that he wanted her to be able to watch his games, and that's the argument they made. And eventually, because the NCAA is toothless, they let Tez Walker play, and the irony of the whole situation is the final game of the season for North Carolina that year was a bowl game in Charlotte, and Tez Walker opts out of playing in the bowl game in the city that his ailing grandmother lives. But the mental health, he needs to play football for his grandma. And no, it's not because he's good, it's because of mental health. And then he's opting out of playing of a bowl game in the city that his grandmother lives. Opting not to play. After the NCAA denied them and they made cases in court and got all these things involved.
I mean, we see it all the time. People use arguments when it benefits them, and then when it flips the other way, it's like, oh, yeah, well, doesn't really benefit me anymore.
We have bets to place. Fittingly, this is the segue from the Brendan Sorsby segment. To place for both the Stanley Cup and NBA Finals. We call the segment Graham's Gambling. We'll run through the card next on the Josh Graham Show.
The Knicks are one win away from their first NBA title in over 50 years. New York can taste it. Up 3-1 in the series. Can they finish the job? Game 5 is in San Antonio. Tonight, Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
Got some bets to place. See, the Spurs plus 1,400 bet that we put down in January, not looking super promising. Ahead of Game 5 of the NBA Finals. Why even tell us it's an 8:30 tip? Why even put that on your website or on social media when you know damn well that ball isn't tipping off until 8:45 at the earliest? It's a crime. Makes no sense. Don't understand a lot of things that TV networks do. Went on this rant on Westwood One Sports Night that you can listen to 11 p to 3 a, Monday through Friday with myself and Linnell Willingham. But Fox think they got the combination right finally, having, here's a crazy idea, U.S. commentators calling U.S. soccer matches. Whoa! Crazy concept, making the game sound like it's being called from people who are from America when you're trying to reach an American audience, rather than pandering to British people who think they're cool when they refer to cleats as boots or fields as pitches or say football rather than soccer. It's like the douches that say turkey rather than turkey. I think that's what they're trying to go by now. I don't know. We have 2 weeks until the United States play that match. Is that right? That's what they want to go by now?
I was talking to a soccer person yesterday, and that I said turkey, right? Turkey. It's like,
They corrected you? Here's what you can say. I'm not going to say that. Just not going to say it. Sorry, not going to do it. Can't make me. Turkey, you know what I'm talking about. This is a communication platform here where we say things and try to have you understand what we're saying here. What was I talking about again? Oh, that, TV presentation-wise, sometimes you get it right. And they got a great rating today. 15 million plus watched USA's win against Paraguay. That's something that makes sense. What doesn't make sense is 8:30 tip-off time, and you're not tipping off the basketball until past 8:45. Let's get it right. How about we get to the bets? It's time for Graham's Gambling.
It's time for Graham's Gambling. Let's make some money.
Remember, we've got Josh Jacobs who's running the board. That Josh Jacobs. There's a lot going on in Josh Jacobs' world right now, as we know in the news. So, give the guy a break. That's what I say. Let's get to Graham's Gambling. Why don't we? Will, this is an example of a bet that I love and you're going to hate. And everybody else might hate it too. Knicks first quarter money line plus 140. Oh, but Josh, every game, they've been down double digits to the Spurs in the first quarter. Yep. Think there's going to be a hangover from Game 4. I think this has been enough of a storyline that the Knicks, at a minimum, are going to open this game well, and the value's nuts at plus 140. That I'm just going to take the Knicks to win in the first quarter.
I wouldn't do it, but because I like to follow the trends. Like Canes, Golden Knights, they've gone over 5.5 every game. So you just keep doing it.
We'll get there. Knicks, first quarter, plus 140. I'm fine with the Knicks plus 5.5 too. Moneyline sprinkle at plus 170 on the Knicks to win tonight. We're on the Knicks. To the Stanley Cup Finals we go. Will Dalton, let's stay away from over 5.5, over 6.5 some places. How about we do just Hurricanes team total over 3.5 goals? Call that a day. Carolina has scored at least 4 goals in every single game of this series. It's the first time in NHL history a team has scored 4+ goals in 4 games, and they've done it in 5. All 5. And yet this is a plus 145 number still. Plus money, over 3.5 goals. We'll follow the trends where we need to follow the trends. This is an example of that. The Hurricanes have snatched Vegas' soul. So we're going to take Hurricanes money line minus 115. Let me read this text message that was just sent to me by one of our executives here at Westwood One. Oh, we're on in Las Vegas now, Will. This show.
Oh.
What's up, Golden Knight fans? What's happening? Hurricanes, money line. Where's the goal horn? Hit the horn! Hurricanes, money line. Hurricanes, team total over 3.5 goals. Deal with it. And that's what we're going to do. Graham's Gambling for this week. Let's run through a couple other things quickly. We have World Cup action at Levi Stadium right now. Switzerland, Qatar is in the 81st minute. The same venue that months ago hosted a World Cup, a Super Bowl, is now hosting a World Cup match. Wow. Qatar just missed one to the left that nearly tied this match up. It looks toasty, to say the least, out there in Santa Clara. I wonder if the substation is nearly as effective in June as it is during football season, leading to all those 49er injuries. That energy station that they talk about. So that's a 1-0 score right now with Switzerland ahead. Brazil-Morocco is the main event tonight, being held from the Meadowlands. We'll see how Brazil looks without Neymar, who may miss the entire group stage. You want to talk about a strange vibe, Will? Can we call it a culture shock, if you will? Haiti faces Scotland in Boston tonight, or in Foxborough, at Gillette. 9 p.m. kickoff time. Someone explained to me like I'm 5 why Qatar, Switzerland is getting a noon local time kick, yet we're going to have Haiti and Scotland face off at 9 p.m. local time. Gonna get weird. Some of the Bostoners, the Bostonians, are going to get hammered and show up. Dude, haven't been this excited since watching the C's lose in 7. Dude, was watching the Bees the night before lose a game 6 at home, kid. At least we got Drake May.
Now they got A.J. Brown.
Gonna get loose. Maybe meet a lady. Give her the Diana Rossini treatment, kid.
Oh, my God.
Interlock fingers. That's what we're going to do.
What was the Super Bowl commercial a couple of years back? Park the car or
park the car and have it yard. Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking about right now.
If you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel, searching Westwood One Sports Night. You can watch the show in addition to listening to it. My name's Josh Graham, Westwood One Sports, The Josh Graham Show. You can find the podcast feed, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify by searching Westwood One Sports Night. Let's go to Illinois. That's where Carl is. Carl wants in on Knicks Spurs tonight. I think the Knicks are closing this one out tonight. WD thinks it's San Antonio living to see another day. What say you?
Well, first and foremost, I think I got the Knicks in 6. I think the Spurs pull it out at home. I think that loss, I don't think they're quitters. I don't think they're going to win 3 in a row, but they got a fire lit up their butthole, and I think that they're going to play in front of the fans. They're going to prove that they're their coach, that they can go the whole 4 quarters. I kind of had the opposite. I kind of had the over-under 6.5 for the hockey game, and give me the Spurs the first quarter, and I think this Knicks in 6. I think they got to prove. This all depends on if they like their coach or not. Because if the Spurs don't try hard this game, I'm going to sit there in the locker room, and I'm the coach. I'm going to tell them who's throwing the game like the 1919 Black Sox. Who's putting money on this? Because I don't even know if you guys want to win. You're losing on purpose to make money. Because I'm going to get fired. I think he's to the Spurs what Mark Jackson is to the Warriors. He's a good coach, but he's just not the right guy for this youth that is ready to go now. And they're going to fire him, and they're going to find their Steve Kerr. And I think if you look over in my Chicagoland area, Billy Donovan's right there. He's great with talent. He's terrible with untalented players, kind of like Dusty Baker was when he was coaching. He's terrible with bad talent, but you give him the Astros, you give him the Cubs, he wins games, he wins playoffs, he wins pennants. Give him to the Nationals, nothing unless he's got an all-star pitching cast. That's why they had to go to Renteria. The White Sox had to go to Renteria. But Dusty Baker needs a good player, an all-star team, bad players, bad coach. I think this guy in San Antonio is out the door. I think San Antonio doesn't want him out the door. And San Antonio will win tonight, and the Knicks will win this Saturday as much as Mike Rabel likes to put New England clam chowder on Rossini's puffy taco. Take that
Oh,
to the bank,
no.
my friend.
Wow.
That was a call. Mark Jackson. Carl in Illinois. Mama, there goes that man. Oh, you're going to want to stick around in the next hour because in about 20 minutes from now, a Carolina Hurricanes fan named Bryson Carbley posted on X that if the Canes came back from a 2-0 deficit, he'd get a tattoo. And then he did the same thing for a 4-0 deficit, did the same thing. That's going to be fun. Also, why has home court advantage died?
This is Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds.
Yes, it is the Josh Graham Show, Westwood One Sports. And this story.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
If it seems as if home field advantage, or specifically home court advantage in the NBA, doesn't really seem like much of a factor anymore, you're not crazy. There actually is a lot behind it here going into Game 5 of the NBA Finals tonight in San Antonio. If you haven't been paying attention, the road team won the first 3 games of the series and should have won the 4th if not for the dumbest offensive strategy, dumbest basketball strategy you can have, being up 29 points like San Antonio was at MSG. The road team should be 4-0 in these finals. So what happened to home court advantage in the NBA? It doesn't seem to exist. The biggest reason why the advantages you're seeing teams generally have at home dissipate is because of a lesser impact from officiating. If you ask any coach or any honest player about this, they'll tell you that the biggest advantage they get from being at home and having a ruckus crowd behind them and all these things is the advantage it gives you in officiating. Now, this isn't in some super nefarious way. It's not as if somebody's whispering into the ref's ear before the game starts, "We need the home team to win." It's not exactly what we're talking about here. We're looking more at human nature. It's the pressure a loud partisan side has on close calls referees have to make. Human nature tells us if a call is close, officials are more likely to side with the call that gets them cheered by thousands of fans, not booed and perhaps fearing for their walk to their car in the parking lot after the fact. Because of the wide variation of plays that the NBA allows to be reviewed, regardless of what time of the game it is, this edge is almost completely negated. A good example is what we saw in Game 4. The second foul on Cat, a minute into the game, being reviewed. You can review at any time, almost anything. So you give the referee another shot at looking at the replay and getting the call right. So what was a snap judgment on a close call is now the referee getting a chance with slow motion replay, getting the thing right. That is the number one reason why that we're seeing a change in home court advantage, why it doesn't seem like as much of an advantage as it used to. The second thing, travel has mitigated home court. The NBA has started its season earlier than it used to. Coming out of the bubble, the players felt that it was a much higher quality of basketball they had in the bubble because nobody was traveling. So everybody's in one space, and we saw a pristine style of basketball being played. The NBA started the season earlier to have fewer back-to-backs for teams. And when you couple the smaller number of back-to-backs with the actual travel itself getting so good and comfortable, then it isn't as daunting to play games away from home as it used to be playing in the Boston Garden in a playoff game or in the LA Forum back in the day. So that's why home court advantage isn't as much of a thing anymore. In the playoffs, you also get to play multiple games in a venue, so sight lines, rims, that's not an issue. You can get comfortable with that. All of this is to say that you should expect the Knicks to close out in San Antonio tonight. Yes, Josh Jacobs, cue up that cheesy 90s anthem. Go New York, go New York, go!
Go New York, go! Go New York, go New York, go! Say go New York, go New York, go! Go New York, go New York, go! Well, just like that, look who's back in the mix.
I want a Taylor Swift cover of this. What's the closest thing Taylor did to rapping?
Ooh. I'm gonna have to
That
look
probably
that up.
wouldn't be received well. Probably not.
No, it wouldn't.
You don't think? Or
No, I don't.
how great would it be the way that she has like midnight surprises that drop if the Knicks win the title tonight and Taylor drops a surprise track titled Go New York, Go New York, Go?
I mean, it might confirm that she's actually a Knick fan.
What then, Monica McNutt? What then? It's my question. This series ended back in Game 4. It'll be remembered. Game 4 is going to be remembered the same way that we think of the Miracle on Ice. Some forget that that wasn't a semifinal. They just assume that was the gold medal game. Ray Allen shot. Some think that won the championship for Miami. No, they had to play a Game 7. Mookie Wilson in 1986. The Spurs, they're just such a young team. It's hard to imagine there's not going to be the hangover there. And the Knicks, they've been fabulous on the road. They've been 8-1 in the playoffs away from MSG, including the 2 wins in San Antonio early in the series. Did you just see how this game ended at Levi Stadium? Qatar just hit a bomb in the 94th minute to tie the match with 6 minutes of added time on the clock. So they just tied. They just earned a tie, earned a result in the final 3 minutes of the match out in Santa Clara. The World Cup underway. That's crazy. That just happened a minute ago. This segment is sponsored by our friends at Progressive Commercial Insurance. They protect small businesses with affordable coverage options. Get a quote today at progressivecommercial.com. Will Dalton, during the summer months, even though this is not a slow month in the summer by any means, you got the College World Series going on, the World Cup, NBA Finals, Stanley Cup Finals, Taylor Swift's wedding's on the way. We're counting it. A lot of stuff going on. This weekend is a really, really big deal for cinephiles like myself because Steven Spielberg just put out a new movie. How many more times are we going to be able to say that? Steven Spielberg in his 80s putting out new movies. Disclosure Day starring Emily Blunt. It's another Alien movie. He's made his fair share of those. This might be controversial, Will, but I just put together my top 5 Steven Spielberg movie list, and I'm going to share it with you right now. You ready to go, Will?
Yeah, let's fire it up.
Number 5, Steven Spielberg movie of all time. Catch Me If You Can. It's Tom Hanks. It's Leo DiCaprio. And when you look at the rest of the cast of that movie, it, at the time, didn't seem like the Avengers. But now, when you look at the cast, whoa. They were in that movie? Now, we knew that Christopher Walken was a star at that point, playing Leo's dad. Martin Sheen, we knew who that was. But we didn't know who Amy Adams was, playing an important role. James Brolin, didn't know a lot about him. Or Elizabeth Banks or Ellen Pompeo. That might have been pre-Grey's Anatomy. So, amazing movie and one of Spielberg's best. Number 4, Jaws, 1976. If Jaws doesn't succeed, then we probably don't know anything. Then we don't get all the other work that follows from Spielberg. Because the production was such a disaster, and it was way overshot, and they way behind schedule. But then the movie dominated the entire summer and created, quite literally, the summer blockbuster that we've now just become familiar with. Jaws created that. The craziest thing about Jaws is that it's rated PG. You know, the first scene when there's a naked woman out at sea getting eaten by a bleeping shark?
No.
With
it's
blood
not
and
PG.
everything? PG.
It's
PG.
not PG.
It is. Look it up. Robert Shaw
Oh, I believe
being
you, but it's not
decapitated
PG.
by a shark, getting eaten by a shark. Ah! PG. PG. Jaws. Number 3, Jurassic Park. This is probably 1993 is the absolute pinnacle of Spielberg. There is a movie that we'll talk about maybe in a second. This is a giveaway for what else is on this list. But 1993 Jurassic Park, revolutionizing CGI before it was a thing, but it still looks great because he didn't lean fully on CGI. Still had the practical effects as well to go along with the CGI dinosaurs. It's still amazing how that movie looks good. Number 2, Schindler's List. Same year, Jurassic Park and Schindler's List. There is not a director who's ever lived that could have pulled off Schindler's List. The way that it was so personal for Steven Spielberg and how he did it. And one of the most impactful historical movies of all time. Number 1, the number 1 Steven Spielberg movie of all time is E.T. the Extraterrestrial. I'm a dad. I have a 19-month-old son. I love movies. This might be the number 1 movie I'm most excited to show my son one day, to see it through his eyes. Because it makes you feel like a kid when you're an adult, and when you're a kid, you fall in love with it instantly. This is what you talk about when you talk about movie magic. Honorable mentions, Saving Private Ryan, the Indiana Jones movies. I view the Indiana Jones movies the way that in the first college football playoff, the committee viewed Baylor and TCU, because both those teams had great resumes, probably deserved to be in, but they didn't have a conference championship game, so they both got left out. That's Indiana Jones.
That's Indy.
I'm sorry. I don't want... What do I do with Raiders of the Lost Ark versus Last Crusade? What do I do with Sean Connery versus Karen Allen?
It's
I don't know that.
It's the original.
You got Sean Connery?
It's the original. Yeah.
I'm leaving it out. And Saving Private Ryan got one of the historical epics in there. Also, my biggest critique of Saving Private Ryan, I hated Hanks' last line. The first 2 times I watched it, I have no idea what he said to Matt Damon. Earn this. Could we have just done another take? Could we potentially have maybe come up with a better line than that, Steven? I don't know. So that's why it's not in my top 5. Those are my top 5 Spielberg movies. Thoughts?
I mean, I recognized the greatness of E.T. Me personally, it wasn't my favorite. I mean, Schindler's List, that's all time. I would have had Indiana Jones in my top 5, quite frankly. And I might have put Saving Private Ryan number 1. I might have.
How many of these movies did I make you see? That you had not seen prior. E.T., Schindler's List, Jurassic Park, Jaws, Catch Me If You Can.
All but Schindler's List. All but Schindler's List. I watched that on my own. I watched it on my own.
Okay, glad to know that you've at least seen that. Someone writes in on Westwood One Sports Night YouTube. The question is, what is the best age to show a kid E.T. for the first time? I say 8. I think that sounds about right. 7 or 8, yeah. So got a little bit of time before we get there, but we're going to get there. And I'm excited for it. And I'm excited to watch Disclosure Day. To watch a Spielberg. I'm excited for a lot of movies this summer.
Yeah.
We got a new Toy Story movie. You've got you have the Odyssey that's coming out, a Christopher Nolan movie. Disclosure Day, a Steven Spielberg movie. you have people saying movies are dead. How about those 2 horror movies that did really well?
I saw Obsessed. I saw Obsessed last week. It was terrific. Or, yeah, Obsession.
Yeah.
I saw it. It was fantastic. And that was a YouTuber that made that, Curry Barker.
Correct. That is correct.
Yeah.
There was another one, too, that people were surprised did so well. Forget the name of it. That was going on right at the same time.
Backrooms?
Backrooms. Thank you.
Yeah.
So it's been those have kind of hit by surprise. And then you have a Spielberg movie, you have a Nolan movie, you have Toy Story. You just have so much, a confluence of so much at one time. It really does look like it's going to be a really fun movie year. So, T's and P's to the doomsday folks. Oh, movies are dead, no one cares. Yeah, well, seems that people do. Still a fun thing to do. Our guest today quite literally has given up his arm for his favorite sports team. And we'll meet them together next on The Josh Graham Show.
In Omaha, there's no tomorrow. The College World Series, where dreams are realized and seasons come to an end. Hear every pitch, every historic moment on the Westwood One Sports app. Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will be in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
Yes, it is the Josh Graham Show, Westwood One Sports. And this story is one that you're going to want to buckle up for. There is a Carolina Hurricanes fan named Bryson Carbley that has gone viral on social media during the Stanley Cup Finals because, frankly, he's a man of his word, and so much so, he's proven willing to quite literally give up an arm for his team. When Carolina trailed Vegas 2-0 in the third period of Game 2, he posted on his X page, "If the Hurricanes score 2 goals in the third period to tie the game, I'll get a warning flag tattoo on my arm." The Canes then scored twice. They won the game in overtime, and Carbley said he would book an appointment to get that ink. 2 days later, the Canes, once again, are down in the third period, but this time it's not 2-0. They're down 4-0. This game's over. Bryson tried his luck again. Posted, quote, "If the Hurricanes score 4 goals in the third period, I'll get a tattoo of Stormy the mascot. Please, for the love of God," close quote. The Canes miraculously answered again with 4 goals in the third period, including 3 in a 39-second span. Soon after, Bryson posted some photos on social media with 2 brand new tattoos. Yes, the warning flag and of Stormy the mascot. And now he's promising to get a third if the Hurricanes win the Stanley Cup, which they're in position to do, a clinching scenario in Vegas, Game 6, tomorrow night. That Canes superfan, Brandon Carbley, now joins us on Westwood One Sports Night. For those watching on YouTube at Westwood One Sports Night or on X at Josh Graham Show, let's see the tattoos. How did they turn out? How do you feel about them?
Yeah, absolutely. So I like them a lot. I'm very happy with how they turned out. I will say I went to Game 5 and I was in the sun for like 4 hours. So you're not supposed to like put new tattoos in like direct sunlight, and I'm paying for that. But so there's the Stormy. And then the warning flag is right behind it. So my plan is, if I'm trying not to jinx the Carolina Hurricanes, be very careful here. If they win the Stanley Cup, my plan is to kind of get it like in the background and then some like storm around it. So like connect everything. It's going to look really cool. And the tattoo shop I'm working with in Raleigh, Cleopatra Inc., they've committed. So I reached out to them for the Stormy tattoo, and I like gave them a budget. And they were like, no budget. Like, come in. We want to do it for free. We love your like enthusiasm. And I was like, oh my gosh, blew me away, man. It was crazy. And then I and then I tell them about the Stanley Cup, and they're like, "Oh, we're doing that one for free too. Like, we want you back here." So I'm very thankful for them at Cleopatra here in Raleigh, and I'm hoping I have to make that appointment to go get that very soon.
There is another element to this story we haven't brought up yet. I didn't even know that they were taking care of the tattoos at the end here after it went viral. What happened when the Canes saw what you did last week and how viral it had gone?
Yeah, so I reached out to them and I was like, "Hey, just so you guys know, I'd love to be at Game 5," and and it took them a couple days. You have to, right? I was like, "I'm a walking billboard for you, so please." And so they reached out to me a couple days later, and they were like, "Hey, we hear you and we see you, and we want to give you tickets to Game 5." So we were in the new area, the viewing bar, standing room only. They were awesome seats. I mean, awesome seats. I loved it. My wife and I, who's 8 months pregnant, came and stood the whole time. Like, she was like, "I'm going to this game. Like, I don't care, like, what's going on. Like, I'm gonna be there." So and then I'm there, Josh, and I get a text message from one of the Canes employees that does like the social media stuff, and she's like, "How would you like to sound the siren to start the third period?" Yeah, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, I would very much like to do that, and I want to, but I cannot tell you how nervous I was, man, because I went after Mike Commodore and Grant Williams of the Hornets, and then it's me, a guy with tattoos. Like, I was so nervous, and then I like Corey Lavalette, who's a reporter that covers the Hurricanes, like he gives out grades after, and he gave me an A-. So I was happy with the grade because he is a tough grader, to be completely honest. And I saw that, and I was like, okay, I guess I didn't do too bad of a job on that siren.
For those who don't know, if you've been watching the playoffs, you see the siren, but you literally are what separates your favorite team from taking the ice in a Stanley Cup game. As a practical matter, the team is waiting for Brandon Carbley to sound the siren in order to take the ice. This has all happened. This has all transpired in the span of 9 or 10 days. What would 10 days ago Bryson Carbley say about all of this?
I would call him crazy. I would like, there's no way. Like, even when I got invited to the game, like, people were like, "Oh man, you got to get on the siren. Like, they're gonna get you on the siren." I was like, "There's no way I'm going after Mike Commodore. There's no way." Like, Dan Morgan's on it, a couple games ago, and then they're gonna put me like that. Just didn't make sense to me. So I was like, and I wasn't expecting it at all. Like, not anything where I was like, "Hey, I need to be on it," And then I get that text message, and like my jaw just drops, and I show my wife, and like she's like almost in tears, like excited for me, and I like my stomach sunk immediately. I was so nervous. I was like, I cannot mess this up in front of 20,000 Caniacs, like at the Stanley Cup Finals. But I eventually got through it. They were very consoling, kind of calmed me down a little bit when I got there. They were like, "Yeah, just put your hand on top of it. You'll grab the side. You'll crank it. It's okay." And I'm like, "Okay, all right." And then I get on it and give it my best shot, and I was happy with my effort.
Bryson Carbley's with us here. He got 2 tattoos because he was talking too much on social media, and the Canes made him put his money where his mouth is, or his arm where the ink goes. And there's a third one that might be coming if they win the Stanley Cup. You mentioned your wife a couple of times. What does she think about all this, and what does the rest of your family think about all of this?
Yeah, they all know me, and they know I'm a crazy sports fan. So my Twitter is primarily centered around the Carolina Panthers.
What's that handle again? At not Canales, not Dave Canales?
Yeah, at not Dave Canales. And I do a Panthers like fan run podcast, Panthers on Tap, and so they're aware of like how crazy my fandom is. And I've been a Canes fan for 10 plus years, and really like got more into it once Rod got here. I feel like he brought a lot of energy and kind of just gravitated towards that. But my wife is in full support. She's like lets me be me, and I'm thankful for that. And my family is just like, it's really cool, like cool moment. For me to be on the siren, or me to go to the Stanley Cup Finals game and to be invited by the Carolina Hurricanes, like my family and friends are just nothing but supportive through this journey that's been.
Is this your first child that you're about to have?
Yes, very first one.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So due date is nearing. How close are we?
Yeah, beginning of July.
Okay. So you're still probably in the clear. There is no, I know that there are, because I just had my first 19 months ago, that you have, thank you so much, that people are protective of names. So certainly not giving up names in any regard. But are there Carolina Hurricanes considerations? Just have to know. Or is that the line? That's too far.
That's the line that my wife draws. I can put ink on my body and get permanent pictures on my skin, but the name of our daughter is it's been selected and it's been set in stone for a couple months now. So I've tried though, Josh. I've tried.
Well, honey, the Conn Smythe Trophy winner. Maybe we could try to figure it out. Stalzy could be a girl's name. How do you feel about Stankoven? That might be a different girl's name. We can work on it a little. Yeah, I don't like your chances. But let's close this thing out with actual hockey. How confident are you that the Hurricanes are going to close this thing out?
Yeah, I'm hopeful that they do it in Vegas. I know there are some fans that would like to see it come back and win on home ice. For me, I want to get it done as soon as possible because it's extremely stressful to me as a fan. So I think Carolina coming off 2 wins and the last win being a pretty stellar effort in my opinion from everyone on the ice. I think they go to Vegas and they close it out in 6, and then we have the Stanley Cup parade here and. Raleigh, and I have to end up getting a 3rd and final tattoo to celebrate.
Have to? No. Get to have that 3rd tattoo.
Absolutely.
Bryson Carbley, enjoy all of this. You've deserved it, and best of luck. See, I'm a Hurricanes fan myself. Lifelong diehard Hurricanes fan. I grew up out that area, so we're in this together in that regard. Best of luck to you. Best of luck to both of us. And thanks for joining us on Westwood One Sports Night.
Thank you.
There he goes. Bryson Carbley dropping by for a visit. The Carolina Hurricanes are a win away from winning. Honestly, appreciate the restraint from Jacobs, not hitting that during the conversation with the Caniac, Bryson Carbley there. Spencer writes in on YouTube, I covered my CBS Sports tattoo with an Infinity Sports tattoo. I'm waiting a year before I cover it with the Westwood One tattoo. How great would it be if Spencer's Westwood One tattoo was of my face on his shoulder? Let's put it this way, Will. I don't know how much it would cost in order to put my face on the shoulder of Spencer, but if he wants to do that, I'll pay for it.
I mean, listen, as long as you're buying, that would be a heck of a tattoo.
It doesn't even have to be on the arm. It could be like the Steve-O tattoo where he has the giant face on his back, or the political fixer, Oliver, what's his name? Is it Oliver? It's not Oliver Stone. Oliver Stone's the director.
It is Oliver Stone. Is
that who I'm thinking of? That has a giant picture of Nixon, or giant face of Nixon on his back? Could just be my face. Could figure it out. Just an idea. Throwing it out there. In favor of that, we can maybe revisit it. But speaking of the Hurricanes, see, I was fortunate enough to attend Game 1 and Game 5 of the series. He says he's been a Canes fan for 10 years. I go back 20 plus. Game 5, that was the loudest building I've ever been inside. And if Carolina loses tomorrow night, I will be co-hosting Westwood One Sports Night Wednesday night from Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final. Not rooting for that. Would like Carolina just to figure it out. But the growth... The growth of this area as a hockey market, though, it's a story that shouldn't be overlooked, and it's measurable. When the Canes won the Stanley Cup 20 years ago, 2006, they had watch parties in the arena when they played on the road. I went to one of them, and Will, to be honest, it filled maybe one side of the lower bowl, the amount of people that showed up. 20 years later, they're doing the same thing for Stanley Cup final games, and they're selling out the building. It was free then.
Yeah.
$10 tickets to watch the Canes in Lenovo Center play on the screen on the road, and they're selling out the building for it. It's just noticeable growth. Noticeable.
Well, the thing I thought that was really cool that I didn't notice at first, and then I did after the fact, was the tracker that they have on the ice, where like they show like where players are on the ice, like with projectors overhead.
Oh.
Did you not see this?
I did not. So it's like
yeah, they do.
Next level, like AI type of thing that shows you where players are on the ice.
Like I saw, one of our radio buddies over in Raleigh, like he was videoing the reaction there after the Stankoven goal, and you could actually see it like on the ice, like it was like little circles that represented each player, and then they had a puck out there go in the net. It was really cool. That's new.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Here's the most important question you'll hear asked today. What NFL franchise is the closest equivalent to the U.S. soccer team? We'll share our answer to that question, and you can tell us yours. 310-840-4910. Next on Westwood One Sports Night.
A statement to start it off. The U.S. beats Paraguay and gives the nation something to believe in. Is their World Cup run just getting started? Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
A way in sports that we make the game and sometimes teams, sometimes players, easier to understand is with comparisons. It's why during the NFL draft or the NBA draft, you have that tab that says player comp, so people that weren't familiar with the player in college can have some level of understanding for what this player, their team is getting, is like. So with that in mind, there are a lot of casuals arriving at the World Cup. 15 million watched the United States play last night and beat Paraguay 4-1. A lot of casual soccer fans. So since the NFL is the most dominant entertainment force in American culture, which NFL franchise is the closest equivalent to the U.S. soccer team to help those who are watching casually the World Cup, and Team USA specifically, have a better understanding of who they are and perhaps who they aren't? 310-840-4910. That is our question of the day. The Jacksonville Jaguars are our answer. The Jags are the NFL equivalent to USA Soccer, and here's why. Neither Jacksonville nor Team USA ever get any respect within their sports. Jacksonville, there are NFL hardcores that might not know this fact. Jacksonville went 13-4 last year. And have you heard a peep of hype regarding the Jaguars this offseason? Let's go to the odds makers, see what they say. Despite having the third best record in the AFC this past season, Jacksonville has the 8th best odds to win the AFC. But wait a minute. Only 7 teams make the playoffs per conference, right? That is correct. That means after a 13-4 season, Vegas is saying, that's cool. You're not going to make the playoffs. No hype. Now, why is that? Much like U.S. soccer with CONCACAF. Nobody respects the AFC South. So when you have success in CONCACAF or in the AFC South, nobody cares unless you deliver when the big tournament arrives, when the World Cup arrives, when the NFL playoffs arrive. And the Jaguars, they've never made it to a Super Bowl. Never made it. Much like the U.S. has never made it to a World Cup final, and both teams have really only been relevant since the 1990s. There are tactical similarities, too, between the U.S. and the Jags. The most important player on each team was once lauded as being a supreme talent, only to recently experience a professional slump. Christian Pulisic having perhaps his worst production year with AC Milan prior to the World Cup, and last summer dealing with some injuries that caused him to not participate in international activity. Trevor Lawrence, the Jags tanked for him. He was seen to be a generational prospect. He's had some good seasons. Obviously, teams have had success. But some things that make you scratch your head, too, and some people are out on Trevor Lawrence. Both teams made coaching changes at the end of 2024 in hopes of getting better offensively. The Jags adding Liam Cohen from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He was their OC for a year. The U.S. adding Mauricio Pochettino, the Argentinian national. Those offensive-minded changes, they seem to have already paid dividends. The Jags, 13-4 last year, 6th in the NFL in scoring offense. U.S. Soccer put on an offensive clinic. When do we ever see the U.S. national team moving the ball the way that they did last night and applying as much pressure as the U.S. applied on the offensive side of the ball? That is something to be encouraged by. In the end, both the U.S. national team and the Jaguars, they are long shots to win it all. After last night, the Americans have 40-1 odds to win the World Cup. Meanwhile, the Jags sit at 30-1 odds to win the Super Bowl, courtesy of our friends at DraftKings. So in order to draw inspiration for the U.S. in this World Cup, here's that viral Jags superfan from a long time ago with an applicable message to the USA.
As far as picks, they say they have the best draft in the entire NFL. Are you surprised to hear that?
Certainly not. The first year we took it to the limit. And I was in Miami with my new beach house.
It's been 20 years since then. We haven't been too strong in the last few years.
Oh, we've been strong. We're just playing by the rules. You can't have a newcomer come in and steal a show.
That's correct. Can't have a newcomer steal the show. Why hasn't the United States gotten past a group stage match in 24 years? Following the rules. Is that the most iconic piece of Jags audio ever? Or is it Liam Cohen saying, Duval? Because those are the two that come to mind. Unless there's anything else crazy that we're forgetting about.
I think the fan takes the cake.
Yeah. And it's inspiring. That's the part that you can't overlook. The inspiring message from whoever that lady was. I think it was a lady. Deep voice, got the pulled back hair. I think it was. I'm not trying to be mean or disrespectful in any way. I just don't know for sure. Will, it is June after all. Don't want to make any judgments whatsoever. Nothing to add on that? Got it. How about
I'll let that simmer.
How about we just awkwardly transition to telling you about our YouTube channel and podcast? Westwood One Sports Night is where you can find us on YouTube. It's how you can watch the show in addition to listen to it. Apple Podcasts and Spotify, searching Westwood One Sports Night as well. This is the Josh Graham Show. My name is Josh Graham. So glad to have you along with us. You tell us, if it's not the Jags, then who? Who is U.S. Soccer's NFL equal? 310-840-4910 if you want in on the program. Didn't even do the exact odds equivalent. So the U.S. going into the tournament, Will, had 60-1 odds. The two teams with 60-1 odds, courtesy of DraftKings, once again, the Washington Commanders and the Indianapolis Colts. Not sure if any of those teams are good fits for those comparisons, but they had the same odds going into the tournament. Now with the win, the United States is at 40-1 odds. Is there a team with 40-1 odds to win Super Bowl 61? Pulling it up right now. There is. That is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Got an email. Someone suggested the Miami Dolphins might be the team. Is the entire, should we just say the U.S. national team is just the state of Florida? Jacksonville, Miami, Tampa. That they apply like a mismatch of all those teams. 310-840-4910 if you want in. How about, we haven't had a check-in on baseball yet today. The College World Series is going on. Will Dalton, is there a sport that a singular conference dominates in more than the SEC dominates college baseball?
No.
I venture to say no.
I mean, they're the entire other half of the bracket. Like, there's Carolina, Troy, West Virginia, Ole Miss.
I love how you say
the SEC on the other side.
I love how you say the other side of the bracket because you're a Tar Heel fan and they're facing West Virginia. They're not even playing today, those teams. So some would say the side of the bracket we're watching play today, all SEC teams exclusively. An entire side, and Ole Miss is on the other. 5 of the 8 teams in Omaha are from the SEC. The last time we have not seen an SEC team win it all was 8 years ago when Oregon State won it in 2018. So it's been a minute. You have the exclusive SEC division of the College World Series. 2 games per day is how this thing rolls. Oklahoma, 9. Alabama, no score. Oklahoma getting some revenge for the college football playoff loss in Norman from way back when. Texas plays Georgia. That is an 8 o'clock kick on kick. Got my SEC football brain on. First pitch is 8 o'clock on ESPN tonight. In Major League Baseball, your Yankees should be done by now. They played earlier today. Don't even know how they did. How'd they do, Will? Are you a good fan or a bad fan? They won 3-1.
They were losing early on.
1-0. Considering the Blue Jays only scored a run, I'd venture to say if both those things are true, it could be one score. But the Yankees got a 9th inning home run from Paul Goldschmidt, and that's your difference. 2-run score in the 9th. The Yankees win that game. My Baltimore Orioles had won 3 in a row going into today. Before I could even be excited about that, it's 4-0 Padres going into the bottom of the first. And right now, San Diego takes a 6-2 lead over my Orioles. While we're updating live scores, the World Cup, crazy finish to Qatar and Switzerland. Switzerland scored in the first half. They had a great opportunity to go up 2-0 in the final 25. But then Qatar hits a rocket from outside the box to tie the match up. I want to see officially when that goal was scored. Thought it was the 94th minute. Was it the 94th or 93rd? It was the 94th minute, and there was only 6 minutes of added time. 1-1 Qatar and Switzerland, so Qatar earning a point in that. Switzerland letting 2 points slip. You have Brazil and Morocco that is kicking off in the next 10 minutes. That's at the Meadowlands in New Jersey. Qatar, Switzerland was at Levi Stadium in Santa Clara. No Neymar for the group stages. And in the nightcap tonight, you want to get weird? How about Haiti, Scotland, 9 p.m. local kick at Gillette Stadium in Foxborough. Haiti and Scotland. Could be some fun. That's what we call a culture shock. As if Algeria being in Lawrence, Kansas, and Kansas loving Algeria wasn't enough this week. In the spirit of making comps, there is one NBA Finals in past years that should remind you a lot of what we're seeing between the Spurs and the Knicks. And we'll tell you what that is next on The Josh Graham Show.
This is Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
A hat tip to the producer of this program, Will Dalton, who tells me we have music, imaging to go along with unusual questions, the highlight of our weekend, in about 20 minutes. Can't wait to hear what that sounds like. Every week, we have one segment every weekend where you get the chance to ask us what's on your mind. And it might be sports related. Generally, it's more fun when it isn't. 310-840-4910 is your chance to participate in unusual questions. Not right now, but in 20 minutes. We'll get to that shortly. The NBA Finals could be decided tonight. And if the Knicks finish off the Spurs, these finals should look familiar to you. Because this series is the 2011 NBA Finals all over again. There are so many parallels between the two. And it's not just the winning team, it's both teams, and there are a lot of things at stake. So let's get to it. The Dallas Mavericks, they're the perfect comp to these New York Knicks. 2011 Dallas Mavericks. Think of the star players of both teams. Everybody thought that Dirk Nowitzki was a very good player going into that finals, but nobody was saying this is maybe the most beloved foreign player of all time, one of the best foreign players ever. It took the title, him winning the title, in order to step into that type of conversation. Maybe be a big enough name where Amazon Prime's like, hey, we want to throw a boatload of money at you to be part of our studio team, be a studio analyst. The same's true of Jalen Brunson. Very good player, yes, but not a guy that we're thinking we're going to be talking about generations from now. Not a legendary player that he's going to be for bringing New York its first title in 53 years. Also, if we're going to link the Mavs and the Knicks, much like the Mavs with Jason Kidd and Jason Terry and Tyson Chandler, this Knick team is filled with veterans that likely know that this is their one shot at a title. The youngest New York starter is 28. 4 of the 5 guys they bring off the bench at least 28 years old. Juxtapose that. Jordan Clarkson's 34. Juxtapose that with the Spurs, Dylan Harper 20, Steph Castle 21, Victor Wembanyama 22. So that's why those two teams are similar. As for the other side of the ledger, this series could be the same learning opportunity for the league's top talent, Victor Wembanyama, that 2011 was for LeBron James, entering his prime LeBron James. 2011 was supposed to be LeBron's first title, but he didn't have the same level of urgency that those Mavericks had. Mavericks were desperate. They knew that that was their year. It had to be that year. Going into his first season after joining Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade, we all remember the quote, not 1, not 2, Not 3, not 4, not 5. And those finals were a career low point for LeBron. More specifically, Game 4 was when he had just 8 points and wasn't putting shots up in the fourth quarter and getting backed in by J.J. Barea. If we're to compare LeBron in that series to Wemby, listen to what Wemby said when he was super emotional on the court after winning the Western Conference Finals, and see if this quote reminds you of anything.
I would say what I learned is I can go through hurdles that I didn't know those hurdles could get so high. And the crazy thing is, maybe I'm crazy for that, but I want to do that 15, 20 more times. Let's hope it doesn't become an addiction. Maybe it is already.
Want to do this 15, 20 more times. How about just win this year? But no, that just tells you there's immaturity there. The urgency is not what it needs to be when you're talking about doing this 15 to 20 more times. No, it's about right now. Wemby, he probably believed what everybody in the sport was saying, that, the real finals is OKC San Antonio. Doesn't matter who comes out of the East. You're going to take care of them if you beat OKC. That's why he was so emotional on the court, as if it was the championship. He thought he had won it all. He took the finals for granted. And Wemby's immaturity, it was on display with the 9 3-point attempts he had in Game 1. The careless turnover at the end of Game 2 off of Steph Castle's lower back. The shot selection, the 2 missed free throws in Game 4 at the end. This is just a reminder that he is 22. 22 years old. LeBron, when he had that low point in 2011, he was 27 years old at that point? 27. Wemby, 22 in his first finals. But much like those 2011 finals were for LeBron, this series could be a springboard for Wemby. Because it was after that 2011 season that Miami won the next 2 titles. 2011 was the start of 8 consecutive finals appearances for LeBron James. It was that offseason that LeBron decided to really prioritize his interior game, something that if Wemby develops further at his size, it would become absolutely unfair for the rest of the league trying to stop him. So the Wemby piece and the Knicks history title drought piece might make this series the most consequential finals we've seen in a very long time. Like the Knicks to close things out tonight against the Spurs. Think that San Antonio is done after what happened at MSG a few nights back. This segment is sponsored by Progressive Commercial Insurance. They protect small businesses with affordable coverage options. Get a quote today at progressivecommercial.com. Texas Tech has had itself a week. On Monday morning, we get the news of the local Texas judge granting an injunction to allow for Brendan Sorsby to play despite betting hundreds of times on college sports, including on his own team and against his own team, betting a couple of unders on Indiana's passing stats when he was the backup quarterback of the Hoosiers. That's led to just chaos. Everybody's mad. Everybody's talking about this. You've got attorney generals in Oklahoma and Texas, state attorney generals sniping at each other. But centralizing our focus on Texas Tech. What the Red Raiders have learned this week pretty quickly is that there is no good defense for keeping Brendan Sorsby on the football team. Now, that hasn't stopped them from trotting out defenses, trying to see what sticks or if something's going to resonate. None of it has, and frankly, some of the arguments we've heard, flatly ridiculous. Let's hear the first defense that Joey Maguire from Texas Tech brought on down. Essentially, the defense goes something like this. What's the big deal? Sorsby didn't hurt anyone after all. Here was Joey Maguire making that case.
I've sat down with this young man multiple times, and the things that he is going through and what he's been through is serious. As a society, we've been okay with other things that happens and allowing players to play, and this has been the one thing that has united people that we're against, you know. And it's crazy because it's not murder, it's not.
It's not murder, Will. It's not beating someone. Just take note. Hey, fellas out there. You ever get caught cheating on your wife? Try using this line. See what happens. Honey, it's not murder. I didn't murder anybody. I didn't beat you. What's the big deal? What were you talking about here? Very close to doing that Tucker Carlson impression from SNL right there. What's the deal? What's happening here? Was very close to doing that. The new SNL cast is good, by the way. I'm in. I know I think they're on off-season break right now, but I'm all in. It's like a sports team. Takes a few years to reload the roster. I think they've done that. Oh, my goodness. Gavin Sheets just hit a bomb off the Orioles. I hate when the Orioles play during the show. Just don't like it. Might turn the channel. Has the Brazil-Morocco game started yet? Or are you still watching college baseball, Dalton?
No, they're 5 minutes in. 0-0.
Don't say 0-0.
It's
This is America.
0-0.
We say 0-0.
Okay.
It's a ball. It's a field, not a pitch. I'm just tired of pandering to the British. We have a way we talk about sports in America.
Sounds perfect.
It sounds like this. No, it honestly sounds like a segment that Tucker would have done when he was on TV. Oh yeah, you know, in America. I don't know. Where's this game? I'm just in a bad mood.
I see. It's the Orioles. They always do it to you.
Well, also Texas Tech. Yeah, they're ticking me off too. How does Joey McGuire not get it as a coach? That as bad as physical harm is and actual crimes, they don't affect the integrity of the enterprise you've chosen to play. But that defense actually isn't as bad as this one. Defense number 2. The only reason anybody cares is how good Brendan Sorsby is. They're threatened by Texas Tech and how good the Red Raiders are going to be with Brendan Sorsby at quarterback. This was the argument that Tech superdonor Cody Campbell made to Dan Dockich earlier this week.
It's because the college football world doesn't think that Texas Tech should be as good as we are. You know, we've been a disruptor, just like Indiana has. And so we're a target, and we have been even before any of this started. If this had happened at LSU, you know, people would say, it's LSU, you know, they're always going to kind of do what they do, and, you know, they're going to keep playing. But it happened at Texas Tech, and, you know, people don't want to compete with this. Of course, ADs in the Big 12 are saying crazy things and, saying they don't want to play us. Well, they don't want to play us because they know he's good, and they don't want us to be as competitive. They want to have a better chance at winning the conference.
Aha. Yes, if it happened at LSU, people would just say, Tigers being Tigers, and just let it go. Just like everybody just let it go, and it wasn't a big deal when LSU poached Lane Kiffin away from Ole Miss. I don't remember that being a huge story at all. If we're going to kind of involve the political realm of things, it's almost like a state senator sponsored a bill that had a specific clause in it, section, essentially titled the Lane Kiffin Act. Oh, but LSU, no one would care if their star quarterback were betting on games. And they only care because he's good. As if Charles Bediako wasn't a huge deal in college basketball, despite the fact he barely averaged 10 points a game. This isn't a guy dominating the sport on the national scale. Still was a pretty big story when he played in G League or played in the G League and was allowed to come back to college basketball. So it would be a big deal, regardless of how good he was. If he was a pedestrian tight end or played right guard, people would still care. Almost went back to my soccer take. What the hell is a Real Salt Lake? Oh, the New York
I have no idea.
Football Club, New York FC. Yeah, they're called the Giants. Have you heard of them? New York City FC. Like, can we just not pander to the British? Or pander to the European soccer bros who wake up early on Saturday morning, and that's why we're naming the teams this way, because the teams are convinced that that's their base, not normal Americans who talk a certain way. Hey, we have football. It's called – this is why I respect Nashville a great deal. They called themselves Nashville SC, soccer club. We call it soccer. Don't be ashamed of it. It's what we call it. It's fine. Said my piece. Spoken my piece on the subject. Will Dalton, what ends up happening with Brendan Sorsby? Because it seems doubtful that Texas Tech has the stomach to go through with this. You already got Kirby Hocutt saying, well, we didn't say he was going to play. We're just trying to help him. And you had the 21-minute video that Texas Tech leaders put out there that nobody watched because that's too long. It should have just been an email. Texas Tech's a member of a conference. That conference seems to all be against this. The commish, we'll see. They're going to meet early next week, university presidents in that league, to talk about this. I still think over-under half a pass for Brendan Sorsby next year. I think Brendan Sorsby might take the under on that, and I would too.
I think he's going to play. It's what my gut says. I think he is.
Why?
Well, I mean, I think it's interesting that what was the date that it can be appealed or something, and it's like 2 weeks after the national championship game.
Oh yeah, there's the stuff that they're going to try to drag this out to where he could play the season, but I agree with you.
That's why I think he's going to play.
If you're going through the legal process, yes, then you're right. The way that he doesn't play is if the College Football Playoff Committee, if the Big 12, if they decide to do something with him, and I think they will. I think something's going to happen in that regard. You know, this might have been a good warm-up for Unusual Questions. Just our question of the day. Hey, what is the U.S. equivalent of, or the NFL equivalent to the U.S. soccer team? That qualifies as a pretty unusual question. Unusual questions. It's been the highlight of our weekends the last 6 months. And Will Dalton, he's telling me we finally have sound and music to accompany the segment. So get your questions in. 310-840-4910. Unusual questions. Revamped. Better than ever. Next on The Josh Graham Show.
The Hurricanes are one game away from lifting Lord Stanley's Cup and claiming their second title in franchise history. Can the Golden Knights keep their season alive? Game 6 is tomorrow night. Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will be in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
It is time for that time of the week, specifically the weekend, where you get a chance to ask us anything. We call the segment Unusual Questions.
Last week, guys, everybody made it out that I got mad at Josh and I left the press conference. That's not right. I thought it was an unusual question, and it's okay.
Roy Williams accenting the bit. That was when Roy Williams stormed out of a press conference because he didn't like a question that I asked. And then the game after that, he wanted to point out he wasn't mad at me, but felt it was, quote, an unusual question. Shout out to the Hall of Fame college basketball coach. 310-840-4910. You can ask us whatever. It can be sports related. Sometimes it's more fun when it isn't. Will Dalton, I'll get the ball rolling with this. If you could attend one sporting event over the next month, one singular event, what would you choose? Here are the options. World Cup final or a U.S. World Cup match. A clinching game in the Stanley Cup Finals. A clinching game in the NBA Finals. The College World Series clincher in Omaha. UFC Freedom 250 at the White House. Watch some MMA on the White House lawn. That's tomorrow night. Or be a guest at Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's wedding. What would you choose as the sporting event? Because we're counting that as a sporting event between those options.
That is so tough because, like, when I look at every single one of those, it's like I don't want to say some of it's a once-in-a-lifetime type situation, like a World Cup final, but then you might get to see the Knicks clinch, and that's massive, especially if it happened at MSG. I'm a Canes fan, so to see that would be incredible.
You're also a Tar Heel baseball fan. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Tar Heel fan. Also, when do you see UFC at the White House? Still can't get over that. But you know what? I think I'd probably choose the World Cup final. I think that's the one. And that's tough because I'm a Canes and Tar Heel fan. But it's just, I don't know. It just feels so massive. And it's been 32 years since it's been here. So, yeah, I think I'd have to go with the World Cup final.
Speaking of the World Cup, Morocco just scored on Brazil. Morocco's up 1-0
Yes, they did.
in the 21st minute of that game.
Give me nil.
Will
1-0.
Dalton. Will Dalton, the answer to this question is obviously the Taylor Swift-Travis Kelce wedding.
Oh, at MSG.
That's what I'm saying. You go to MSG.
So obnoxious.
It's the closest thing to a royal wedding we've ever had in America. Think of like all the music celebrities that are going to be there. Think of all the entertainers and athletes that are going to be there. That's the place to be. I mean, the best stories you're going to have. Oh yeah, think about what you have on everybody. If you could go to a dinner party and say, I was at the Taylor Swift-Travis Kelce wedding. What? You were there? I think that's even bigger than you were at the World Cup final. I think so. So I think that's the right choice. 310-840-4910. What were you going to say?
Were you aware that guests have to sign non-disclosure agreements to go to that wedding? That came out yesterday.
Sure.
They're
still,
making guests
I still
do
go.
that.
That's smart.
Well, sure.
I still go.
The whole thing is just so performative. It's so extra.
Mean?
It's so Madison Square Garden for a wedding. Really? Couldn't have like a nice, beautiful, like set an arena.
Privacy.
Really?
A lot of privacy. No, I'm serious. Like MSG has an underground parking garage, so that way you can go and be anonymous, and you also, I think it has windows you can't see inside from the outside. So privacy a big thing, Will. Come on now. Let's go to Bert. He's in Baltimore. 310-840-4910. Bert, what's your unusual question?
Josh, I love it. Morocco's ranked 7th in the world. Brazil 6th. Undefeated in their last 10, and I just put $1 on them at plus 480, baby.
I love it. I hope you make that $5.
I got one usual and one unusual. My usual, how old were you / how far in your career were you when you had the Roy Williams question that brought on this segment or gave birth to it? And my unusual question, why do you think Linnell Willingham so badly wants Wemby to be something that he clearly isn't, at least just not yet?
Linnell has said that Wemby's already the greatest basketball player ever in terms of talent. That's his take. Appreciate the call, Bert. Let me think about this for a second. I think Linnell, when he's a loyal guy. So when he becomes vested in somebody, whether it's yours truly or with Wemby, he can be protective of it. So when he goes that far and has that take, he wants to see it validated and see it work out. And who knows? He might have the last laugh, a lot like LeBron did following his heartbreak in 2011. The other piece of that, do you remember what the first half of that was, Will? I was just focused on that piece of it. What was the first half of that?
I was thinking about the Wemby thing too.
Well, sorry about it, Bert. This is what happens. I feel like the coach in the press conference who gets asked two-part questions and then forgets what one half of it is. I now know what that's like. Will Dalton, what's your unusual question?
Where do you stand on naps? Because some people, they're like what I've found. We work in a job. Well, your hours are different than mine. You work at night. But like me, I work in radio during the day. And so, I'm not really able to get the benefit of a good afternoon power nap. But when I have taken naps, when I've been able to, man, I tell you what, it is very refreshing. It is. So I like naps when you can get them. I think they can be very beneficial. But there are some people out there that's like, once you're up, and they feel like a nap might kill their momentum of the day, what have you. So where do you land on naps?
Huge napper. Love naps.
Yeah.
Every weekend I get a nap.
It's great.
Football season's a little harder, but I make sure to get my naps. Especially when my off days are now during the week on Monday, Tuesday. Oh, just built in. 100% getting a nap. Appreciate Spencer, who says Roy Williams was the part of the question. So that was the COVID season 2020, 2021. So that was 5 years ago. I was 27. I was 27 years old when I asked that question to Roy. And at that point, I talked to Roy. I had covered Carolina for close to 5 years at that point. So knew Roy enough, which is why he's by name saying, not mad at Josh after the fact. That's the point of the career I was. Let's go to Jim, who's in Seattle. Jim, what's your unusual question?
So how much was your actual cost for your Game 5 with your credentials? Did you get everything free? Game ticket, parking? Did you get it free, all the free food you wanted? Media row?
I was to answer your question, yes, the parking was free. Credential got me in free. They had they gave me a $25 voucher to Chick-fil-A or Hibachi inside the restaurant or inside the arena. And then they had buffalo chicken dip and sour worms and popcorn and drinks in the press box. That's what they had. We were taking care of them.
Same happened for Game 7? You get to go for sure?
What Game 7? I will be there for Game 7 if the Canes lose Sunday night. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think the Canes are going to handle their business. I will be with Linnell Willingham Wednesday night from the arena if the Carolina Hurricanes are playing a Game 7 Wednesday night.
All right, thank you.
There you go, Jim. I might even characterize that as a usual question.
Yeah, that was very educational, informative.
Might be a good segue. Usually people just tell us what their name is and where they're from. All I have here is Hockey Guy once in. Hockey Guy, hey. What makes you so special? What's your name? Where are you from, Hockey Guy?
Maine.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah, I'm from the great state of Maine. At this time, though, I'm living in Wyoming, southeast Wyoming, and I'm a diehard
what's your question?
Avalanche fan.
Oh.
And my question for you, and first of all, I wanted to mention, Josh, your Game 5, your post-game radio broadcast, I listened to it.
Yeah.
And it was fantastic, man.
Thank you.
And my choice would be, if I got to go to any event, absolutely would be a Stanley Cup final game.
Let me ask you this question then, before you ask your unusual question.
Okay.
If you are a diehard Hurricane fan, like I am, diehard lifelong fan, and I'm not going to Game 6, but as I mentioned, set up to go to Game 7, do I root for 7 or do I root for it to wrap up in 6?
Oh, wrap it in 6, baby. There's nothing better than skating with the cup on the opposing team's ice. Nothing better.
I'm with you, except if I were there. That would make it better. That's kind of the larger point.
Yeah,
But I'm
that's
with you.
for sure.
I'm with you. Okay, what's
Yeah,
your question?
Well, the Avalanche had a 4 overtime win. And when we played in Florida, when we won the cup in Florida, and we skated on visiting team's ice. That was awesome.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have a question?
My question for you, sir, is why in the heck would the Avalanche let Chris McFarland, their GM, go and sign with the Nashville Predators? And I don't understand that one at all, because I know it was obvious. It was really hard to watch the Golden Knights sweep my team. That was a real hard thing to do. And we had a couple injuries, but also it wasn't the GM's fault. That was, if anything, we were out-coached. I mean, it was obvious that Tortorella had a much better plan than Bedsy did, and Jared Bednar just got out-coached. It was terrible, and then we had a couple injuries. Our best player offensively, our best player defensively were hurt. But that's part of the game, though,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hear you. And what I would say to that is, and I appreciate the call from Wyoming, is there's always more going on behind the scenes than you know. And we'll use, just because they're on the precipice of winning the Cup, the Carolina Hurricanes as an example. They had Don Waddell as their GM help build the entire team. And Carolina, after one of the playoff seasons ended in heartbreak, did not get to the Stanley Cup final. I think it was 2 years ago. They let Don Waddell walk. Just let him go. And had Eric Tulsky replace him and promoted Tulsky from within. At the moment, you're thinking, well, they're clearly going to take a step back now. Been great for 6 years, and now you have new management. There was more than what met the eye, and Tulsky was a guy that they wanted to give an opportunity to. So the Predators poaching McFarland, you might view this as, oh man, the Avs, this is terrible for them. Well, we'll see who they replace him with and what they have in mind. Because as John Tortorella has reminded us, with him parachuting in with eight games to go in the regular season and getting Vegas to the Cup, hockey is about the players on the ice, man. And the Avalanche have a lot of really good ones. So finding, whether it's in the executive chair or the head coach, that might be able to provide a different spark to get you over the hump could make all the difference in the world. Wouldn't overreact too much given how strong Colorado was this year and how great that roster ultimately is. One more. Let's go to Michael, who's in Calgary. Michael, what's your unusual question?
This is a Hall of Fame unusual question. Are you guys ready?
I'm ready.
How much did the pirate pay to get his ears pierced?
How much?
A buccaneer.
Oh, my gosh. Mike in Calgary, everybody. Mike in Calgary, everybody.
I love that.
How have I never heard that before? I went to East Carolina.
I don't know.
They're the Pirates. Beautiful. I like the music. Glad we have About Time Will Dalton did his job. Got us some imaging. Got us some sound for that. Thanks, Will.
You're welcome.
That's unusual questions. Brazil, left side of the box, able to find the far post and knot up this thrilling, exciting, end-to-end clash between the Brazilians and the Moroccans. 34th minute in the Meadowlands. So that's fun, World Cup. That's been unusual questions, by the way. We have to take this show to the conclusion by putting it to bed. What do you have, Will Dalton, to put this show to bed?
A man was on his way to court for a certain crime, and while on the way, he did it again.
And that's next on the Josh Graham Show.
The Knicks are one win away from their first NBA title in over 50 years. New York can taste it. Up 3-1 in the series. Can they finish the job? Game 5 is in San Antonio. Tonight, Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
Thanks to Bryson Carbley for joining us this afternoon. Gave his right arm for the Carolina Hurricanes. You say things on social media sometimes, such as you'll get a tattoo if the Canes come back from 2-0 down in the third period. Then they do it, and they're down 4-0 a few days later, and you say, if they come back from 4-0... You say if it's 4-0 and they come back and tie it, you get another tattoo, and then they do. That's how you get to 2 tattoos that you weren't planning to get 10 days ago. And he says he'll get a third if the Carolina Hurricanes win the Stanley Cup. Fun stuff with him. Tomorrow, going to be emotional. Sean Clark's wife, Janelle, the recently passed away head coach of the App State Mountaineer football program and UCF. He was an assistant last year, tragically died. His wife's going to join us trying to turn something tragically bad into something good, and will tell us about that when she joins us tomorrow. Also, John Forsland, who has the national radio call for the Stanley Cup Final, will join us from T-Mobile Arena on tomorrow's program. So that'll be a good bit of fun. We got Mike Wickett that's on the way, and Mike usually likes popping in when we get set to put this show to bed. Wickett, would you like to hang out with us for a few minutes?
I would, and by the way, the right answer is go to Taylor Swift's wedding at Madison Square Garden.
My
You are 100% right, Josh. Don't listen to Will.
Wickett, no, it's not. It's the World Cup.
Listen, I've met Taylor twice. She's very, very nice. And I would be honored to be at that wedding. I'm not soccer guy. I have it on because we're paid to talk about it. I have a soccer guest coming on because people care about it. It's not my thing, but being at that wedding, like that would be like the Nick Celebrity Row on steroids. It would be amazing.
It would be, and you just have all the stories forever. And even though you can't share it in a public way, you can share it at dinner parties. And
right. I mean, you can't take any pictures or have any photos or whatever, but in your brain, you can put a wire on me, put a hidden camera in my glasses.
Do you think you get a picture with the bride if you're there? Like, if you are a guest, like there's like a line and you get your picture with Taylor and Travis?
Like, I've done a meet and greet for a Taylor
you?
Swift concert before. Backstage, I've done that, and she just walks around to everybody. So I don't know if there would be, like, Travis is like, God, we got to do this. He just wants to slam beers. He doesn't care about that photo at all.
Probably not. Now, let's put this show to bed, see what Will Dalton has for us.
So this guy, he was on his way to court for a burglary that he had committed a while ago. And while on the way to go to court for this, what does he do? He burglarizes again.
Yes.
Oh, does he?
He can't stop it. He can't. So this
it's like
this
his
happening.
favorite thing.
Yeah, that's right. Happened in Cape Coral, and he's
Cape
accused
Coral?
of burglary. Is it Cape Coral? I thought it was Cape. I've been saying Cape Coral for years.
You got a lot going wrong there, Will. I mean, listen, follow Josh, man. Pay attention.
It's Corral?
More times than not, I'm right.
Especially about the Taylor Swift thing.
It's true.
Yeah, whatever. So in Cape Coral, this guy's accused of burglarizing an RV, and it's reported that there were a couple of people inside said RV while he was trying to bust inside of it. Yeah. And he tried to steal a TV while he was breaking into this thing, but then the police were called, and luckily they were pretty close to where police were, because again, he's on the way to court for a previous burglary. So he went to jail. It wasn't pretty. They also found 2.9 grams of meth on his person. So
there's a real
that's not
shocker
great.
right there. Isn't stealing a TV so 1990s? Like, TVs are cheap now. Like, unless this was one of these $10,000 100-inch screen, whatever. TVs are cheap as hell now, man. You're going to risk going to jail for a $92 television you can get at Walmart?
I was thinking about this the other day while I was driving into Game 5 of the Cup Final and was just adjusting the radio and thinking, do people still steal radios? Is that still a thing people
Remember
do?
that?
When's the last time somebody stole a radio, and how does it correspond to the last time somebody had milk delivered to their house?
Well, they probably, nowadays everything's an infotainment center. Because when we were young, when I was young, like the TV, like the radios, the new technology was the faceplate that came off. Remember that? You could take the faceplate off and you put it in your plastic case and took it with you wherever you go. Or like there were Will will never believe this. You could use to take out the whole radio. It had a big handle. And you would take the whole thing out with you when you went inside. And there was nothing there but an empty space and a cord.
It might be. I love
anything
stand-up
about
comedy. And maybe the most underrated stand-up out there in terms of a guy who's been around a long time but doesn't get the credit he deserves is Gary Goldman is his name. He's outstanding. And he once had just an excellent joke where he was talking about the heights of his parents and how he's super tall and they're very short. And he said the most common thing that people would joke in response is, how tall was the milkman? Ha 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 ha. And he's like, yeah. Who's had dairy delivered to them in the last half century?
About 10 years
Anybody?
ago, I had an apartment in Milwaukee that had a milk door. And you could open it up. There was a door on either side. It was an old building, obviously. But it was a milk door. Like, you open it up, and then you would put the milk glasses in, and then as the resident, you would open up the other side, and you would take. That's how old the building was that I live in. I did not have any milk actually delivered, though.
I'd like my milk delivered. I drink enough of it. I go to Costco, and I get the 3-carton pack.
You drink that much milk? Will, do you drink
He's
milk?
like
I don't drink milk at all.
I
The
also have a
only milk I
19-month child who drinks milk every day.
Yeah.
Wicked. This is the same guy. Don't let him fool you. Don't let him blame it on his child. This guy was at a wedding, and he was drinking Yoo-Hoo.
What?
Don't let him lie to you.
First
Yeah.
off,
Okay.
Did you bring it? Wait, did you?
Context.
We don't have a lot of time left here.
Context.
Did you bring a
Context.
Yoo-Hoo with you to the wedding?
No.
Were they handing out Yoo-Hoos?
That's why
at
the
door?
context
We
is
handed out
important.
Fireball. What wedding is handing out Yoo-Hoo?
He's referencing. Okay, I have a minute to tell this story, and I can do it. We were talking about the most ratchet or redneck weddings we've ever been to, and I went to a wedding at a horse ring. It was at a horse ring, and the groom and the groomsmen were wearing white button-ups and blue jeans with bolo ties. Sweet. The bridesmaids rolled up in a truck that was driven by the dad of the bride while the bride was riding shotgun. Of course, she was knocked up and had a huge tattoo on her arm.
Yes.
And then, after the wedding ends, we get to the reception. What do we have to drink? For the adults, we've got Miller Lite and water. For the kids, we've got Yoo-Hoo. I got a Yoo-Hoo.
Why'd you pick a Yoo-Hoo?
Thank you, Wicket. Thank you.
I was driving home trying to be responsible. That's what I was trying to do, and I love a Yoo-Hoo. It's summertime.
Being responsible at a redneck wedding.
I was the responsible one. And I think this was a DJ mistake. It wasn't what was asked for. Right after they said I do and they were walking down the aisle, Petey Pablo's Freak-a-Leak played. I don't think that was what was supposed to happen, even though North Carolina legend, raise up, take your shirt off, wave it around your head like a helicopter. Mike, that's all the time we have. Have a great show. Good luck topping that. That's Will Dalton. Josh Jacobs. Yes, that Josh Jacobs producing. My name's Josh Graham, and this has been The Josh Graham Show.
This is Westwood One Sports.